It feels like a 2-hour TikTok video. Just like at the end of it, I've walked away and gone like, "Oh, great,
That's brilliant.
2 hours.
Good line.
I don't get back."
I love that line. That's how we now judge things from now on. If it's crap, it's like a 2-hour TikTok video. It's just rubbish. I love that.
Last time when we spoke about the world of Marvel, there was a few things that I'd not quite seen, I think, at that point. Ant-Man. So Ant-Man is the last... Interestingly, Ant-Man is the first film of Phase 5, and having now watched that, I mean, what a pile of crap that is.
Yeah. Well, I will still say this, is that even though it's made technically the first thing in Phase 5, it isn't really. Same with Guardians. They were all, before they Marvel done their pivot, this was already done. It was already out. It was this. They announced it last summer. It will probably finish not far off last summer anyway. So they've been filming for a year beforehand. So let's be honest, it's the first one, but you can tell it's they need to change up what they're doing, and it's a bad film. People will say, "Oh, it's a good film." It's a 6 at best, and I'm sorry, that's what a lot of DC films are bad at. Exactly the same. It's a 6 at best. That's not. Yeah. It's not an awful film. It's not like I walk out of the cinema film like Aeon Flux, for example. But it's just one of those things that basically it's just not good. I felt like it's not great.
It feels like a 2-hour TikTok video. Just like at the end of it, I've walked away and gone like, "Oh, great.
That's brilliant.
2 hours. I don't get back."
I love that line. That's how we now judge things from now on. If it's crap, it's like a 2-hour TikTok video. It's just rubbish. I love that. That's a t-shirt. Wear my special t-shirt, by the way.
I did buy that, man. Love that. Yeah, well, we might have to do that. I might have to knock up a bit more merch. It just... Right, before we go through and do a quick smash rattle review of everything that's happened in Phase 4, Iron Man kicked things off in 2008, and we were very much in a real world at that point. There was no magic, there was no aliens, there was just a really clever guy doing some very clever scientific advanced tech, and that's Marvel's bag, right? Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy introduced us to aliens, other planets, other worlds. That was great. Doctor Strange didn't do time travel as such, but definitely manipulated time, when he first came on the scene. And magic because a thing, obviously, with Doctor Strange, and then in Ultron with Wanda. And then Endgame happened, and we got full time travel. So in a world of consequences and how important things can be, the consequences of an action were kind of understood, and a character that didn't survive is a character that's gone now. And Endgame did time travel, but I think the way they did it, they made it clear that it's not an option you can do every time. You can't just keep time travel to fix problems. They made that pretty clear. And also the consequences were pretty severe. Yes, they did time travel, but we also lost a lot of people on that journey. Yeah. Widow went, and then through just the course of the film, obviously Captain America and Iron Man. But then since that point, they've gone... I've still not watched Eternals. I will at some point. At some point, I'll put it on and it'll be on in the background and I can say I've seen it. But that introduced gods. But then Spider-Man introduced a multiverse. And as soon as you do that, if a character dies in this universe, there are an infinite number of other versions of that character that can just kind of fill that gap. So when we lose a character, it doesn't feel as important. And then the Thor and Moon Knight gave us the afterlife and two different versions of the afterlife. In Black Panther, we got all these sea creatures. There's now literally like an entire civilization under the sea. Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel gave us just even more magic. And then the big one for me was Ant-Man giving us the quantum realm, because it just doesn't mean anything. The reason I hated that film as much as I did is because I do not understand the consequences of this. They introduced a character of Kang who'd previously been introduced, told me that he was the destroyer of worlds, but I've never seen him destroy a world. You just told me that he can do that. And somehow Kang and Ant-Man went toe-to-toe and Ant-Man won. and then they came out of the quantum realm and everything's fine. Like that, there was no real world consequences to anything that happened in that quantum realm, and that was one of the big things for me, that they could have lost. They could, and I don't know what the consequences would have been. They did not do.
They should have killed off Ant-Man.
Well,
they should have killed him off. There was no reason. He should have got out barely, and they should have killed him off. That should have killed off Hank and Mrs. Wasp. It's just there's no. You're right. There's absolutely zero consequences, and they should have killed off Ant-Man. For me, I just assumed they were. I just assumed they were getting killed off. It's just
really
weird.
I had sort of zero assumption of this. I did watch the honest trailer for Ant-Man yesterday, and I watched the commentary the guys did on Fandom, and it was super interesting. One of them was saying how we got Endgame, and we dealt with the quantum realm partly in that. That was the big thing that helped bring everyone back after 5 years. And someone watched that and went, "Oh, people loved Endgame with the quantum realm. Let's go and do that more." No, we loved it because it was the culmination of 10 years of a decade of films and story and character, not because you went to the quantum realm. And they've doubled down on that one. And I'm like, nope, still don't care about the quantum realm. It has zero significance to me.
I mean, the whole thing about this phase, and I think what Marvel decided to do is we're trying to lower the stakes to get so they could ramp it back up again. And I get that by spreading out and world building and introducing all these characters on there. The problem is what you do with that is that you don't do that on cinema films. For me, I just think that's what they should have done. All the Disney Plus shows should have been maybe even just do one-off little movies that's on Disney Plus, and don't go mad and do all these films and just release as much as of the. We've had too much from Marvel. We've had way too much, and I'm like, when it was coming out, I'm like, I love all this Marvel. It's great. It's bad for you. It's like sugar. It's amazing, but afterwards you're like, do you know what? That's rotting my teeth. The thing is, we shouldn't be getting as much as what we've got, because as much as it's great. They've got all these kind of ways of doing these films. It's diluted the actual kind of storyline to the point where you've gone everywhere, but I don't care about any of it. You've got all these characters in there. I don't care about any of them. What I want is those core characters back on there that I actually like. They actually interact together. Yeah. I just want at this point now, I just want my Avengers films. I don't really care about the rest of it. You can if you want to do a Shang-Chi movie, get all the Avengers in it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to see. It's just like, you give us all these great kind of connected movies on there, but now, once you don't connect it, it feels like it's missing something, which is, I don't know how they fix it. The thing is, for me, you can do a Blade and X-Men and Fantastic Four. They can stand alone absolutely fine. They don't need to connect. It doesn't need to connect. That's fine. I don't know who Shang-Chi is. I wanted to. I loved the film was great, but it felt like it was lacking because it didn't connect very well. So it's one of those ones like Eternals. They're not strong enough characters to stand alone. So what you've done is you've diluted the characters to one where you're doing C-list characters and releasing these as major films, and then when people go see them, like, where's Captain America? Where's Iron Man? Where's all these guys that I want to see interacting with the Eternals? That makes me enjoy that film because I'm invested in the original character, the main core of the character. I'm not invested in Eternals yet. You'd be better off in introduce them in maybe an Avengers film on there, and then doing the spin-off. What they've done is they've done what DC's tried to do, the exact opposite. DC, right, we need to get everybody together and build it all together and do it all now. Yeah. Like, we need to get everybody together as quick as possible. Okay, but we've not world built at all. Whereas Marvel's they've done all the hard work. They've world built beautifully. You've got this connected core of characters, and now you're just like, sack that off. Let's just do what we need to do separately, and then eventually we'll come back to them. What? I want to know what they're doing. I don't care about these guys. Now, you got me to really invest in these guys. Now I don't care. So again, it's a problem. But what they're releasing is that they need to pick the battles better. They need to release films that's going to come out, need to be films that are massive, not these little kind of side B-list characters. Ant-Man is garbage as a character himself. Yeah. He could have been a Disney Plus series. I would love that. A high series with Ant-Man. Brilliant. I don't want to go pay money to go see him.
that was the other problem with Ant-Man, is that like the best things about the first two. I'm pretty sure I like the second film, but I don't remember it. But the first Ant-Man film, I really enjoyed it. I still do wish it was Edgar Wright directing it. I still feel like that was a bit of a crime that he didn't get to make the film he wanted to make. But I enjoyed it, and it was the heist film. There were so many good elements of it, and his kind of convict family that he had around him were hilarious. And they just were like, well, we'll get rid of all of that. Well, all them everything you enjoyed about Ant-Man, we're going to get rid of all of that. And we're going to put him on a green screen for an hour and a half. And this big bad that's going to be the whole new Thanos of this world, yeah, he's going to smack him and then he's done. And then he'll come back and have a cake. And what?
That film, they designed it. The whole point, again, the fact that Wolf's mum basically has the history with him. I get them doing that, but the film is an Ant-Man film, Ant-Man and the Wasp film. Okay, the Ant-Man and the Wasp have barely any interaction with Kang whatsoever. No build up to the fight at the end. It's all to do with a mum on there. So at the end of the fight, there's no connection between them. They're literally he meets them, he puts them in jail. Right, I need to get me this thing, and then let's fight. I can't remember much of the story. I've only watched it once, and I've got no intention of watching it again. This is my point. This film is like, right, okay, we're going to do a big battle at the end of the film because we've got to do it. But we're not going to have the guy. With the whole story we've told about, this whole film is going to be about this character and this character. But what we're going to do is we're going to put this guy in there and he's going to fire him in the end instead. Why? It means nothing. It just meant nothing the whole film. It was just... Again, it was a 6 at best. I'll leave it at
that. I think it might have been a bit lower than a 6 to be honest.
Well, at best, if I'm being honest, I'd have probably get it lower. So
4 or 5, come on. Out of 10.
Wow.
For Ant-Man.
I'll go 5 or 6. I'll go 5 or 6. I said 5 is probably fair. It's a 5.
I'll do 5. I was going to do 5.5, but you said 5, so screw you. Right. Let's just jump back to the whole phase 4 of Marvel, because we've already said how much of a hot mess it is. Black Widow was...
Are we rapid fire in this? We're just going to knock them out. What do you give it, Scott? Let's do it. I'm looking forward to this.
What's your Black Widow? Well, I'll tell you what. Give me a 1-sentence review, and then we'll number it.
It should have been it shouldn't have been a Black Widow film. It shouldn't have been released. It should have been a series based on Yelena, and it was film. It was a 5 out of 10. I really just didn't do anything for me whatsoever.
There were some elements in it I liked. Some of the characters were interesting. I do find it hilarious that this was a group of people who completely and utterly existed in America, pretending to be Americans with full, very convincing American accents, and then throughout the entirety of the film were like, I am from Russia.
Terrible Russian accents.
We already know you speak perfectly good English. Why are you now doing a very strained English accent? But also completely forget about. But yeah, you're late. I know why they did it. They want to do a Black Widow film because one of the biggest crimes of the entire MCU up to that point was that she never got her own film, and she's such a good character. The closest she got was Winter Soldier, which is a great film, but wasn't.
She should have had it before, but they didn't, so it wasn't in the film. And again, Taskmaster, worst villain ever done. So let's move on.
Oh God, you know what? Yeah, I forgot all about Taskmaster. Shang-Chi.
When I watch it, I think it's a 9, and then when I think back to it, I think the actual whole thing, I'm like, it's an 8. So 8 or 9, sorry, 8 or 9. I'd give it. I like martial arts films.
Yeah. I do you know what? I've only watched it once. I did enjoy it. Might be. Yeah. Do you know what? Knackers to it. Come on, let's be positive. Let's give it an 8. Why not?
Cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think one of the things that was interesting was when they brought Ben Kingsley back.
Yes,
we had him in Iron Man 3. Yeah. They sort of
it was great.
It was back
great character.
And they, I guess, retconned his character a bit, but actually made it kind of interesting and fun. I love the more I talk about it, the more I like it. So let's stop talking about it. Eternals. I've not seen it, so this is on you. Whatever you say, I'm
7.
gonna drag it down though.
7.
7, really?
7.
Is it a 6.5
Yeah,
or is it a 7?
I just 6.5. Just leave it at 6.5. Yeah, I can't go any higher than that.
I've not seen it, so I can't say. No Way Home.
10.
I mean,
It's a solid 10. So. It's not. It's a 10. We don't need to talk about it.
Just
move on.
Just 10. Move on. Doctor Strange and the 3 verses of boredom.
4, 3.
Wow.
4. I'd say 4.
Was it worse than Ant-Man? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
First watch, I'd have said I call it a quality 7. First watch. Rewatch, I'm going to put it at 5.
Can I drag you to 4.5?
Go for it. That seems fair. It's a very bad film when you rewatch it. The thing is that I think the laughs are good, but everything else is just terrible. So,
I watched that, and I had the very huge benefit of having an 11-year-old kid nearby that was laughing his head off.
Yeah, same here.
And I just was like, yeah, this is entertaining, it's fun. But then they made so many stupid decisions.
Yeah.
And I've said before, I hate whenever I say that CG in a film is bad. I by no means I'm saying the CG artist is bad at their job. I'm saying the production team didn't forecast enough time to actually get the quality required and give them enough time to achieve it. They didn't put enough money into it, or they didn't throw enough people at it. Because this CG game is really, really tough, and some of the CG in Thor was just ropey.
Yes.
Also, they did the same gag again. They brought Matt Damon back in doing his
acting
thing, and it was just bad. Like, they doubled down on it, and I just thought
and it wasn't different enough from the first. They tried to make another Ragnarok, and they didn't. It is what it is. Like I say, enjoyed it first time I was watching because I had my kids with me now, and they friggin' loved the sheep screaming and all that sort of stuff. So I say, good one watch, bad rewatch. Yeah, move on.
Yeah, move on. Black Panther. This is tough for me.
First initial watch, I'd have said a 9. Rewatch, I'd say about a 7.5. 7.5 to 8. I really enjoyed...
I'm going to meet you at 7.5. Right, no, because I put Shang-Chi at 8. Can we go up to 8? Or can I bring Shang-Chi
Yeah, do you know what? That's fair. I would say it's about the same as Shang-Chi. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it is. There's things about it I loved. I think the Chadwick Boseman, every element of that was the strongest stuff. The stuff that didn't work was Namor with his little fluttery ankle wings.
He's such a great character as well. He
has potential to be great.
I think once they separate him from he doesn't. Yeah, once they put him with the rest of like the Avengers on there, I think he'll be a good character because he's very powerful and quite intimidating. So, but I just think in this film, he wasn't his best.
Yeah, I think I think they struggled. Clearly, they wrote a film with Chadwick in it, and then they adapted that film to fit, obviously, real world events. And some of the stuff in it with when they are on about Chadwick is super.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's great.
The way it was shot, a lot of it. I always just think back to that part where she's on the beach at the end and kind of meets his son.
Oh yeah,
and it looks stunning. The music is always amazing.
The music's perfect. Rihanna's "Lift Me Up." So,
yeah, there's so many beats to it that are really, really good. Sadly, the parts that aren't great are the things that you would generally be talking about in a Marvel sort of film. I don't know about killing off a mum either. Like, that felt a bit harsh.
But I'm okay with that. I won't so much.
Yeah. That is all the films. That is all the films of Phase 4. Do you want to
I was already that man, didn't we?
Oh,
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we can do it. Do it.
So
Do it.
One Division.
7, 8, 7, 8. The first 3 episodes I hated. Really enjoyed the next 3 or 4. Then the finale wasn't great. 7 is fair for me because there's some really great episodes in there, and then there's some really heartbreaking scenes in there. But the first 3, the bits that everybody else seemed to really love, I didn't like. It's all kind of great, the whole TV stuff. So I didn't enjoy that. So, but there's some good stuff in there. She's so great.
She's great. Yeah, I'll give you that. Paul Bettany is good. When they brought her brother
joke. Pietro, they did the dick joke. What's his name? Boner, Ralph. It's a 6. It's a 6.
Right.
You're right.
I was going to say, I was going to give it a 5, but if you'll meet me at a 6, I'll take that.
6 fair.
There's parts of it that were okay, but week on week we watched it, and it was the first one, so there was so much anticipation, so much talk around. Oh, what's this mean? What's coming up next? And then you sort of. I think all the excitement of what could have been was not met. And I know that expectation is always higher than what reality can meet, but the chasm of the two was just anyway. Falcon Winter Soldier.
7.5. 7. Because it did what it did, but it just didn't have a great bad guy. So it was.
Can I bring you down?
The thing is, it's a buddy cop movie, innit? It's what it is. What it is. So it's like it did its job.
Can I bring you down to a 6.5?
I don't know. I think it's so harsh. I just think it's like. I don't know. There's some really good stuff in there, and there's some.
Can I just? If someone said I'm thinking about watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm like, just watch the trailer.
6.5, fair enough. I've not watched it again. I'm saying all this, and you know what me? I love rewatching stuff. I've not watched it a second time, so
I love rewatching things. And the Falcon and Winter Soldier, if you give me that list of all these TV shows and nothing else, I'd be like, that's the one for me. I will be all over that. I thought we were going to get a bit of a Winter Soldier-y kind of vibe.
Yeah, it wasn't, was it? Yeah.
And then someone said buddy cop. I'm like, oh, what a weird, cool angle. Yeah. And then the reality is it was just a bit of... The finale was pretty poor. There was no real good bad guy in it. I loved when Falcon...
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and when Falcon went back to his roots and they were fixing the boat up, I thought this is such a nice thing to take us to. It's a bit like in Ultron when we went to Hawkeye's farm.
Yeah,
but they didn't really deliver on it. And then the buddy cop thing didn't get past the first episode.
You've sold me. 6.5. Well, you're fine. 6.5. Move on. You've upset me.
Loki.
9. I think Loki's top tier. In fact, I'd push it as high as 9 with. I love Loki. I thought Loki was nigh on perfect.
I'll give you a flat 9 on Loki then, because it's better than an 8. I don't know.
I just think if you think what that was supposed to do was basically set up the kind of, they had Kang in it at the end. I mean, no one knew what was coming. No one knew they were going to have Kang in that film, in that show, and they showed the multiverse and obviously changing timelines, and they explained away stuff that was basically was nagging in the back of my mind. It's like, how are you going to fix that thing? And this is what we do. We cut them off. Those branches on there, we can't have them going on. We're going to come off and get rid of them. Oh, wow. It's an intelligent kind of way of doing things.
Do you know what? The more I think about this, the more I do like it. My only reservation, and it's a reservation I've had with all of the TV shows, is, again, just the consequences of when you get to the end of it, what does this mean for this wider cinematic universe? Because unless you can make it entirely self-contained, you are going to ask these questions of what does this mean? And especially when you're dealing with something as big as Kang and the multiverse. My only reservation is that it hasn't manifested itself anywhere else other than a post-credit scene of Ant-Man, which was the best part of that film. 9 or 9.5. You
Nah,
call it.
give it a 9. Give it a 9. That's fine.
What If? The animated What If?
8.
Is that
Solid 8. Solid 8. I liked it. Thought it was
is
really
it?
good. Yeah, it's really
I
good.
did. I, I I might no go on fine. We'll stick at 8. I was going to be like I could go higher, but
Yeah, also I could. I was like, because I know some people don't. I could go higher, 8.5 for sure, for sure, for
8.5.
shizzle.
I enjoy that. That for me is like great TV content to marry up with the film content because it does put another. It's like Star Wars, the Tales of the Jedi one. You know, it expands on characters and no, which one?
Oh no,
The one
no,
with
Tales of the
Luke
Jedi. Yeah, of course, yeah.
I've not watched Visions. Yes, I've got more Star Wars content. Hawkeye.
Oh, you might not like me on this one. I loved her. She was great. I'm not a massive Hawkeye fan. 7. 6.57. It was good. It did what it's supposed to do. There was some Kingpin was just annoyed me in it. Because it didn't feel like the right Kingpin. I was 7. I'll say 7.
You know what? I was going to say I'll say 7. I actually kind of forgot about the whole Kingpin thing in there, which is weird, I know, but I just think back to when that came out, and I just thought, oh, this is a nice self-contained story. But actually, you know, it was like a springboard pilot to a new Hawkeye. I guess her replacing him, and then there was a bit of world, but then like that pin particle arrow.
Don't get me wrong. There's some fantastic episodes, but it's like anything. I've got to take the whole thing, the whole series. If I'm like picking my favorite parts of the series, like they had some of the best scenes in any of the TV shows that's been out there, but then it just gets dragged down by some of the other stuff that's in there. So maybe.
Let's not forget the post-credit scene.
No, do you know what? No, 7 is fair enough. I'm not getting that in
there. Moon Knight.
7.
Remind me what happened at the end of Moon Knight.
7.5. Excuse me. The ending is basically he's right at the end. You got Jake. Is it Jake Lockley comes out at the end?
But there was the Power Rangers fight, weren't they? Like 2 giant.
Oh, do you know what? I forgot about that. 7's fine. Just leave it. 7's fine. There's some good stuff. There's some nine episodes in there, and then there's some like 5 episodes in there. So that's why.
I remember thinking the first 2 episodes of Moon Knight were really good. You know, the whole when you got to the end of that first one, you're like, what is going on? Really good. The second one doubled down on it, but in a really good way. And then I think 3 and 4.
It went Tomb Raidery, didn't it? Which it wasn't. I hate that sort of stuff. Not hate. That's all. It's been overdone, and I don't need it anymore. So.
Miss Marvel.
8.5. I loved Miss Marvel. I thought, for me, out of all the shows, it's the one that actually had the most change of the whole suit. The fact is, it had X-Men brought up. It had Captain Marvel, right? And for me, it's the one that's had the family dynamic was amazing. She was good. It had a couple of ropey episodes towards the end. Otherwise, I'd have brought it. You'd be even higher, but 8 for me at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think we said 8.5 at the start. I'm gonna meet that. I think
8.5.
It was one of the surprise ones for me. You know, we're in a Marvel universe now where I think from Marvel's point of view, they aren't bothered about people who don't watch everything. Yeah. You know, if you're going to go and only watch the films and not the TV shows, I think they're okay with that, and they want to make the stories work where you don't necessarily need to have seen it. And in that token, Miss Marvel is a TV show that's just not aimed at my demographic. I know that, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I expected. I remember watching the first one. I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try. It's not aimed at me, so if I turn it off, I'm not going to be offended. But then I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good.
The last one is She-Hulk.
4.
Ooh,
now,
really?
Because
We've not gone below 6.
It had Daredevil in it. Okay, so that's why it's not a 2. Okay, but they had the Hulk in it, and that was decent. So that first episode was like an 8. And then there was a couple of episodes and they were like some really good, decent like level. And then there were some episodes which were absolutely garbage and just proper tanks it. So maybe I'm being over harsh, but it's like a best of 5, realistic between 4 and 5. And I'm happy to go anything between it, honestly, but I just didn't. It just annoys me that they tried to Deadpool. I know they're saying, "Oh, she's done it in comics just like Deadpool." They did, but what they did with it was poor. They didn't. It wasn't fun. There's a way of doing that. That kind of like look behind the glass, and they can make it fun. You just made it cheesy. That whole Kevin thing at the end was like, that's just put Kevin Feige in it. Just like talk next to Kevin Feige. Why do it like that giant computer? It was bullshit. I'm like, nah. I'm for me a 4. The finale was stupid. The finale was like, this is all pointless. And they brought, this is my son. The Hulk comes back right in. This is my son. The fuck is he? He's not in this like all day. Nah. For me, it's like, it's a 4.
Yeah. It's annoying because I really liked her as She-Hulk, as like the character of She-Hulk, and I enjoyed her as whatever her name is when she's not She-Hulk. I don't even know. Jennifer Walters. I enjoyed that. I think the stuff that didn't work, like you said, was the fourth wall break.
It's bad writing. That's what's wrong with that. She's a good actress. She's a great actress, in fact. The CGI when she's She-Hulk is actually pretty good on there for a TV show as well.
Yeah, I thought Daredevil in it.
Blonsky was good on there as well. But he just you can't, just because it's got good elements to it. He just wasn't written well. It was a badly written show. That's all. That's the thing. It's not what they did. What the characters, what they've built and stuff. It could have been really, really good, and it would have been like one of probably the best ones they've written out of all the series they've done. Yeah. But it was badly written. That's just not to knock her as an actress or to knock the actual characters and stuff. It was just badly written. You can do better. That's it. And I'm more happy to see a sequel series and it written better. I'd love it. It's got nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman in chat. The fact that she slept with Dale was fantastic. I thought it was brilliant. The whole chemistry between them two was great. I've got no problem with that. It was badly written.
Yeah. The openly talking about sex and relationships and things, I thought, again, is perfect for a TV show that ties into the rest of that universe. But I think I remember thinking about this at the time when it came out. The fourth wall breaks, I remember watching them just thinking, these add nothing. They aren't funny commentaries on what's happening. They just sort of... it was almost like a director's commentary. It wasn't adding anything to the kind of enjoyment. But then... if you don't do that, I don't know what the finale is, because the whole finale thing was coming out the screen and going into the, writer's room and that. So unless you do all these fourth wall breaks on the build up to it, it just it
was just disappointing because it had potential to be really, really good. I just don't think they pulled it off, and you can tell there's people will swear down. Oh, it was great, it was fantastic. Can you tell me what was great? I'm like, they can't. They said, "Oh, it had Daredevil in it." Yeah, that's great. That was Daredevil on there. We know what Daredevil's like because they built that over a series, and then we know that was. We already know what Charlie Cox's Daredevil's like. But yeah, it might be slightly more playful, but it is what it is. It's just they could have done better. That's all. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit harsh. Maybe 4 is a bit low, but
5.
5, fair enough. I'm probably over the top with that one. Maybe 5. See, you've brought me around. We've talked through it. I've got my issues off my chest, and then do you know what? It's a 5.
Yeah, let's meet there. Right, mate. That's everything. That's done. Love that. I think the state of Marvel is going to be an interesting one. I honestly have no idea where Marvel's. Wait, what's the next Marvel film? What is it? What's coming next?
Secret Invasion. Oh, the series of Secret Invasion and Marvel's is out in the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that Marvel's film.
We'll see when it comes out. It could be good. It might be bad. But we'll see. We'll discuss that another day, and when we're got more time.
Yeah, cracking, mate. Absolutely, as always, superb. And we shall have a chat next week as well.
See you next week, mate.
See you, mate. Bye.